Hell yeah, I'm
Hell
free.
yeah. What I have come to realize is success means different things.
So your definition of success has changed.
I do miss the courtroom.
Did that pressure then lead to burnout?
You do your best when you are yourself.
Two lawyers were like, how can I not break the law here?
That's a terrible injustice when you are in prison for something you didn't do.
I thought that like I had to be a jerk and I had to be lawyer me all the time. That sucked. I was so unhappy.
Yeah. So that at that point was when I knew, okay, I think it's time to take a step back. Sometimes the wins are few and far between.
Find us on Instagram and TikTok.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Hi everyone, welcome back to Non-Billable Hours. My name is Odette and I'm the host around here. This is a podcast where I talk to current lawyers, former lawyers, and sometimes myself about the practice of law. But today I have a guest with me, so you don't have to listen to me talk to myself.
You're welcome.
Please remember to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and please give it a like and a comment. It really helps it find more people, and I love seeing those little notifications as well. It makes me feel like people are listening and engaging, so don't be shy. Today, I'm joined by someone whose story I think will really resonate with a lot of lawyers out there. My guest is Sim Peter. He's a licensed attorney from the US who spent over a decade practicing criminal defense before making a dramatic life pivot. After years in the courtroom, Sim and his family moved to Canada. So he's here now, where he traded his briefcase and his suits for a diaper bag and sweatpants, embracing full-time fatherhood. Let's get into it. Hell yeah, I'm free.
Hell yeah.
Sim, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad that Brandy put us in touch.
Yes, absolutely. Brandy's always been a very inspiring person.
Yeah.
Ever since I met her in university.
That's right.
Yeah.
And in undergrad, right? Or did you guys go to law school together?
She went to a different law school than I did. But yeah, we met in undergrad as both criminal justice majors. And even back then, she's a very positive person, very good vibes, very good influence.
Well, you were like, you and Amin were the two people. She's like, if you're looking for other guests, I know the perfect people. And,
Aww.
yeah. And you grew up in Texas, right?
I
So
did.
you're
I
American.
did. Yep. I was born and raised in the Dallas area. We call it the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is what they call it.
Fancy.
Yeah. So I guess it's like GTA here. You know, there's the surrounding suburbs, but ended up moving here at the end of 2022.
Well,
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you.
Winters might be a little colder.
You know, the summers in Texas are actually more unbearable, in my opinion, than the winters here.
Really?
I mean, you can always put on more clothes.
That's true.
You know, but there's only so much you can take off without
Before you're arrested.
Before you're arrested. That's exactly what I always say.
Two lawyers were like, how can I not break the law here?
Yeah.
Which is like running
Nope.
through my mind all the time.
Exactly.
Do you find the heat wave recently is more so like what you're used to from Texas summers?
I actually laugh when I hear the term heat wave here because the temperature here that you guys consider heat wave is basically a nice May day in Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome to Canada.
Thank
a
you.
few years late, but welcome to Canada.
Thank you so much.
No problem. So you worked as a criminal defense attorney in the States. What drew you to criminal? I know you did your undergrad in it, but what made you choose that to pursue?
When I was a kid, I actually wanted to be a cop. Well, first I wanted to be a superhero, but then I knew that when I found out that wasn't possible, I was
astronaut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be a cop, and I think I always just had a sense of like wanting justice to be done, right? But then it's funny because instead of a cop who puts the bad guys away, I became a criminal defense attorney who a lot of times keeps the bad guys off of the street. I remember when I was going through law school, I heard about the Innocence Project.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have version of that here.
I think we do. I think it's called something different, but I'm more familiar with the American version of it because I follow a lot of like true crime and stuff.
Okay, so you know a lot of it has to do with wrongfully convicted people who later get exonerated through DNA evidence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that really interested me, and then I decided I wanted to get into, and I was a criminal justice undergraduate. I thought I would get into the prosecution side when I did initially start law school.
Yeah.
But then when I started looking into the Innocence Project and the defense side, it really started to get me interested because I realized that a lot of those people that were wrongfully convicted probably, at one point, probably everybody in that courtroom thought they were guilty.
Yeah.
The prosecutor, potentially the judge, who still is supposed to be impartial, but obviously the jury, possibly even his own attorney. And it wasn't until years and years later that they found out, actually, no, that person was innocent. And I've always subscribed to that theory of it's better to let 1,000 guilty people go free versus allowing one innocent person to be in prison.
Absolutely.
So that's a terrible injustice when you are in prison for something you didn't do.
Absolutely.
There's obviously some very bad people out there, but I think one of the most noblest causes is to defend the rights of the innocent.
Because what if it were you? You know what I mean? Like, you think about it and you're sitting there and you know you're innocent. Yeah. And when people think about defense lawyers, we have a very prominent criminal defense lawyer in Canada, Marie Hanine. Okay. And she is brilliant. And she defends some very high profile, like she defended Jean Ghomeshi. And some people look at her and they're like, but you're a woman and you're defending, how can you defend against, it's not about that. It's about ensuring that everyone gets a fair shake, everyone gets a fair trial, and the onus is on the state. I'm a defense lawyer, but in insurance law. So less high stakes in my, in my field. But I'm still of the mind that, like, if you bring a charge, if you bring a lawsuit, it is on you to prove it. Right. And if you cannot prove it, even if they did it, then the state should let you go. Right. Because you are taking, like, going to jail is a big deal.
Absolutely.
Being held in prison
loss of liberty.
Loss of liberty, loss of security of the person, loss of so many rights and freedoms that we take for granted. Right. Going to the bathroom with walls around you in privacy. You can't do that.
People don't realize that all of your freedom, like your freedoms are completely stripped away in the sense that, like, you're told when you eat, you're told when you go to bed. Yeah. You're told when you get to go outside and have outside time, like every little, and of course that's part of the point of prison and the punishment aspect. Just think about all of those things happening to somebody who doesn't actually deserve it. Yep. Yes, there's obviously times where you represent someone who is actually guilty of the offense that they're charged with. But even then, everybody's entitled to their day in court. Everybody's entitled to examine the evidence and make sure that all of the proper procedures are followed. That's the whole point. And it's better to have attorneys on both sides that understand the important role of both sides to make sure that everything is done properly. And I would rather every box got checked and everything is done right. And if that person is still convicted by a jury of their peers, then you at least know that it was done right.
That's why things like the Innocence Project are so important. I remember learning in, we had a law course in my high school, I think grade 11, and we learned about David Milgaard, who was sentenced to life in prison in Canada for a crime he didn't commit, for a murder he didn't commit. Yeah. And he was eventually exonerated and released and given a bunch of money from the government, but he was so changed. Someone who did nothing wrong.
Yeah. How long did he actually spend?
I'd have to look it up, but it was a significant amount of time. Like, he was young when he went in and he was old when he came out.
And that's also part of it. Is like, you see, like, I don't know what the compensation or anything like that the government can do here. I haven't looked into that, but in the States, it's like sometimes laughable of the amount of compensation they provide when you spent years of your life in prison and it completely changed probably your mental makeup, your psyche. Thank you. And just here's $300,000.
Like,
sorry.
What is a life worth? Sorry about that. Yeah. So you studied criminal justice in your undergrad, and then you went to law school. And so what was your first job? Or so in Canada, what we do is we go to law school for 3 years, then we article, which is a paid position, but you have to do that before you pass the bar and get fully licensed. But Brandy was telling me in America, you don't have that articling period.
No. Wish we did.
Do you really?
I do, actually.
So many people here hate it. They're like, they get paid less and it's an extra barrier and all that.
I completely understand from that viewpoint, but I actually, one of my gripes with the U.S. legal system, as far as law school is concerned, you hear a lot from U.S. attorneys, at least, that law school doesn't teach you how to be an attorney.
They didn't teach you that in law school either?
Right.
It teaches you how to study the law and the Socratic method and how to pass and the Iraq method. For anybody listening who doesn't know, that is issue, rule, analysis, conclusion,
Yes.
right? To approach any law school examination.
Not the country.
Not the
Iraq.
country. One thing that I think is missing is that practical component. Like I took mock trial, and, you know, I did a law clinic in law school, but none of those are required. That was all things that I chose to do.
Yeah.
And so you can go through law school and graduate and have that, you know, law degree, pass the bar exam, and then not have any idea what you're doing.
What you're doing. And
So
then put a shingle out.
and
be
put a
like,
shingle out,
I
yeah.
will be your lawyer. I
Right.
will represent you in court.
Right. And that's actually kind of what I did. So I graduated in 2009. So I remember at the time it was, I think, a recession at the time. And so a lot of firms, a lot of my graduating class was having a hard time. And so I ended up just hanging out a shingle for a couple years before I ended up joining a firm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I had done the solo thing for a little bit, and then was a senior associate at a law firm for a few years, and then from there I actually left with one of my associates and started a partnership.
Cool.
So we were partners for about 7.5 years. Again, doing mostly criminal defense, and then went again back out on my own, but it was a little bit different at that point from when I first did it.
No kidding.
So yeah,
Finishing law school and starting your own firm, just like, you know, being your own boss. What was the thing that you didn't expect would like challenge you, but did?
when you fully realized that you were in control over somebody else's major issue, and that, you know, it wasn't just a law school mock trial,
Yeah.
that like there was no real consequences. That was probably the biggest challenge, was just like, they're real live clients, real people who have real issues, and they come to you to solve them. Because as you know, as a lawyer, you're a professional problem solver, and you're just trying to use the law and the court system to help your client. And with that comes a lot of pressure, though.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure.
Oh, it's on me.
Yes.
Like, I'm between this person and a fine or jail or some sort of really serious consequence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially initially when you're just coming out and you're trying to never make a mistake.
The perfectionism.
Oh, I think lawyers in general, we're perfectionists.
I can't imagine the amount of pressure would be on a brand new lawyer, fresh out of law school, on your own, relying on you, to get it right, or as right as possible.
Yeah, obviously, we mentioned the liberty interests and your freedom with criminal law, but I mean anything really, whether it's personal injury, people's livelihood, it's a turmoil they're going through in their life. They didn't expect to get into that car accident that day. Their whole life can get turned upside down, injuries, treatment, all that kind of stuff. Of course, with family law, there's all sorts of major issues.
Children are involved.
Children involved. I mean, it's hard to bear the weight of all of that burden. And I think that's shared for every attorney. You know, I'm sure I'm not the only attorney who woke up in the middle of the night thinking, a thought pops into your head about something that you should do on one of your cases, and then you go to write it down. You know, that's just kind of comes with the job, I think.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, so many mornings I'll be like, because sometimes I work from home and I'll like work from the second bedroom, and it'll be like 7 a.m, and I'll just be on my laptop, and Andrew will be like, have you eaten breakfast? Have you had coffee? Have you had a sip of water? And these are things that I preach all the time. I'm like, your emails can wait. You know, nothing is super urgent. You're not going into like, you know, emergency surgery. Like, it's okay. It's 7 a.m. Like, but I'm like, if I don't answer this email right now, like something's going to go wrong. Or I have
What is that all about?
to get this out the door so it's there when they check their email. And I think that there is a certain level of, work ethic that makes for a good lawyer. And I think without that level of work ethic, I think we could be a little, I don't want to be like a lackadaisical lawyer. I don't think anyone wants their lawyer to be that.
Of course not,
But I also think that like there's a certain point where you're like, okay, I need to check myself. Because everything will be fine if I take 10 minutes and make a bagel.
Yeah.
You know?
This problem is not such an emergency life or death situation.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say about law. Like, obviously, you know, people look at lawyers and doctors as like these big important jobs, and they are.
Yeah.
But doctors actually deal with life or death situations. You
And
know?
that's what my manager had to remind me literally yesterday in
Yeah.
our like mid-year check-in, because I was talking about a hearing I have coming up, and it was stressing me out because, you know, all this back and forth. And she's like, listen, at the end of the day, she's like, this is the dollar amount on the line. This is what will happen. Worst case scenario, we pay a little bit more than we hoped. You need to calm down.
Right.
Like, chill. It's okay.
Yeah.
And she's like, we're not brain surgeons.
Right.
She reminds me all the time, and I remind my assistant and my clerk when they stress out because
Right.
they like miss the deadline for something. I'm like, it can be fixed. And I wouldn't say that any area of law is inconsequential. Like,
Right.
they're all important, but there are ones that deal with more urgent, pressing matters.
Right.
And she's like, if you miss a deadline, a family isn't going to get deported.
Right. One thing I remember one of my law professors saying that I found to be true was, in the law, in practice, like, there's very little that you cannot try to fix. Like,
Yeah.
if you make a mistake, as long as you acknowledge it and you act to take positive steps to fix it, there's a lot of things that you can correct.
Yes.
Even if you make a mistake. Whereas in brain surgery or in the ER or whatever, that's not the case.
Exactly. But I do think criminal defense law is one of the most important
All right.
types of law you
Right.
can practice and you can undertake. Because I remember my my criminal prof at Western, Chris Sharon, he was talking about the presumption of innocence.
Yeah.
And he's like, why is it so important?
Right.
And he's like, because everyone else, like you were saying, everyone else thinks you're guilty. The cop who charged you,
Yeah,
the
right.
jury who's brought in and they're missing their life, they're missing their home,
Right.
the victims' families,
Right.
like the deceased or the injured or whoever, the assaulted, whatever. Everyone else thinks you're guilty. That's why you're in your courtroom.
Yeah.
You're sitting there because everyone thinks you're guilty.
Right.
So the presumption of the innocence and the beyond a reasonable doubt are and a good defense counsel
Mm-hmm. Right.
are the things that are keeping you
Right.
from just being presumed guilty.
Yeah.
Did that pressure then lead to, because I know you talk about burnout and you've mentioned that. Is that what kind of prompted a bit of a burned out feeling?
Yes. One of the things I actually listened to a previous episode that you had where you made a mention about how, I don't remember who it was that said it, but that with criminal law, it's like where if you were a doctor operating on somebody and,
Yes.
and somebody was trying to kill them the whole time as you're trying to save them, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes in criminal law, it's like I had to, convince my client sometimes, especially when we did court-appointed cases. You had to often convince your own client that you were there to help them.
Oh, right, because they didn't hire you. You were appointed to them by the court.
Appointed to them, yeah.
represent
The majority of my cases were privately retained matters,
Right.
but as with most people in private practice, I would take on court-appointed cases as like both as a side income, but also in a way it's kind of low bono, so it was kind of a way to kind of give back to the community, and in a lot of those cases, you spent a lot of time trying to. A lot of times, my initial 2 visits, sometimes 3 visits, was just to get them to get comfortable with me in jail when I would go visit them.
and trust
and
you.
to trust me that I was actually there to help them, and that I wasn't working for the state against them, that we were in cahoots.
Yeah.
I got that all the time.
I bet.
And it wasn't until they started seeing me filing a motion and like doing whatever that they were like, okay, you are actually here to help me.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is because of where a lot of their unfortunate backgrounds came from, that they were very distrusting of people. And so, that was part of it. And the pressure and the treatment that you get, it's a very thankless profession. I think law in general can be very thankless, but I think criminal defense mostly is very thankless because sometimes the wins are few and far between. And then even if you get this miraculous result, sometimes it's just like oh, thanks.
Yeah.
And it's hard to even just get a Google review when you just moved mountains for them. So I think that kind of led to the feeling of, do I want to do this for the rest of my life? Is this the kind of feeling that I want to always have? And to be quite honest, I got really good at getting cases dismissed and pointing out, to prosecutors. I felt like I had a really good relationship with prosecutors whenever we would come to docket and discuss all the cases. And of course, I was able to review the cases with a fine-tooth comb because I had much less cases than they did. They had hundreds and hundreds of cases to go through. But I always tried to like present to them, hey, here's what I think you're going to have problems with proof and whatever. And there were cases that I got dismissed that I didn't think that they probably made the right call.
Wins.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I am shocked. Shocked.
And so I felt like I got really good at getting cases dismissed and results for people that I was actually surprised with. And at the end of the day, while it's great to win, as lawyers, we're perfectionists, but we also love to win.
We do.
I think it was something that started to kind of weigh down on me, you know, but I still had a job to do, and I still had to hold the state to their burden of proof and all of that stuff.
A lot of lawyers do feel that way, but they power through. They power through burnout. They power through feeling not super satisfied with their job or their role. They don't look into pivoting because they're like, well, I did all this time. I have this student debt. And I know student debt in America is a way different ballgame than here. Like up here, you can graduate with 6 figures of student debt. I did, but you can pay it off because the interest rates aren't as like, I guess, predatory. But in the States, I know it's an even bigger weight. And all the stuff, if you have a family, if you know, whatever. So many people just power through it. And they're like, I'm burnt out and I hate this. Or I'm burnt out and I love it, but I'm so tired, but I'm not going to pivot. When that feeling first started to creep in, did you start to look into something or did you just try to power through? And
it kind of coincided with as a family decision to move. So that kind of was around the same time that we did decide, you know what, I think it's time to move to Canada. And so it essentially, there was an opportunity that presented to where I could take a step back and not have to do that kind of job. And obviously I couldn't yet, wasn't licensed here. You know, my wife saw that I was burnt out and that I was stressed over the daily grind and everything. And so, I took that opportunity and was able to come here and spend a lot more time with my son. Not that parenthood doesn't come with its own stresses.
Of course.
But it's obviously given me the opportunity to have so much more time with my son that I would have.
What kind of was your main indicator where you're like, I'm not just tired, I'm not just stressed, I'm like, I need to make a major change?
That's a good question. I always told myself when I felt my advocacy being affected, then it was time to take a step back. And it's
very responsible of
you. There were times previously where I would let certain things go with a client and then it got to the point where I was not able to and would tell them, okay, you know, that's not true. And like, just, it was affecting my ability to like be objective and be their zealous advocate, I felt like. So that at that point was when I knew, okay, I think it's time to take a step back because no good lawyer wants to do a disservice to their client.
Absolutely.
So, and that's kind of when I knew that it was probably time to take a step back and take a step back from the law. And obviously you're only going to get so much time with your child. They're only going to be young for so long. The time away.
I did want to ask about that, time away and how that kind of made you reframe or pivot and then decide that you did want to go back into law maybe in a different way.
It kind of gave me a reset mentally of first off priorities of what my daily priorities were compared to what they became. But then I think because it has been a few years, being a dad is great and I love spending as much time with my son as I do. But I knew it wasn't going to be forever. The time away really got me to start thinking about things and recently decided to get licensed here. So I'm currently in the process. I've taken 3 out of 5 qualifying exams and then have the privilege of taking the barrister's and solicitor's exam, assuming I pass those exams. Of course, I have lots of experience in the criminal defense realm, but you know, I may end up looking at a completely different area.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And how have you found the licensing process? Because I've only been through it as a Canadian law student, but I know international students have to go through a lot more. So was there ever a point where you're like, this is too much, I don't want to do this, or where you're like, nope, I'm doing it, I'm going?
So it's definitely harder now in my 40s with a 4-year-old to focus and have that mental capacity to retain all of this information compared to when I was in my 20s.
With no toddler.
With no toddler.
Depending on you for life.
Yeah. There's been moments where it's been very difficult to find the mental energy to focus. There's just so much information that you have to absorb. Even the outline that I get, Foundations of Canadian Law alone is 300 and something pages. And that's the outline.
I know.
So
I'm just getting flashbacks. These are my actual law school textbooks.
yeah.
We've got administrative is the biggest, but actually
Right.
that was my favorite. Are the exams open book?
They are open book.
Okay, that's nice.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a plus, because in Texas the bar is, I don't know how, is it always multiple choice here?
Yeah, our bar exam is multiple choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
The qualifying exams that I have to take, the 5 ones, they're all essay. Yeah, so that's what's making it a little bit more difficult, because, you know, with multiple choice, there's the answers right there. You just have to be able to pick it.
Right.
I'm fine with essays. It's just, I feel like you need to know more if it's an essay, because unless you're just putting complete BS down and still getting
Which
points.
Also some lawyers do.
Some do. And I know in Texas, you get points on the essay portion of the exam, even if it's not the correct law.
For creativity?
Yeah, because
Okay.
what the bar examiners are looking for is that you're able to apply whatever the law is, because they know that when you won't get full marks, but they know that when you're practicing, you'll have the law in front of you. So it's really more about, are you able to apply it? Yeah, the 5 qualifying exams here are essay but open book, and then as well the barristers and solicitor multiple choice is open book.
Yes.
In Texas, it's a 3-day exam, not open book at all. Yeah. So that was
I won't be practicing in Texas.
yeah. That was very difficult, but again, much younger at the time.
And you did it, obviously.
Yeah.
So your next one is admin law?
Admin law.
When's that?
Next, it's in 2 weeks actually.
Okay. And do you write it virtually, or do you have to go to an exam?
They do allow for online, so there's an online proctor. I have to have webcam open on my laptop as well as my cell phone, secondary angle, stay in the room for 3 hours kind of thing.
Wow.
But I do like that they're able to do that, so I don't have to like go travel somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah.
When you do want to go back into law, do you know what you want to do yet, or are you thinking it through?
Because I have the prior criminal justice, you know, I have the degree and then experience in that field, I've actually been considering now going into the prosecution side.
Cool.
Because I do still have a love for justice and the justice system.
Yeah.
But I haven't made up my mind completely.
One step at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Had you done some traveling recently?
I did.
Yeah.
Done a lot of traveling actually. We've been to Bermuda, went to Sri Lanka for a few weeks.
Yes.
Yeah. Just came back from Cancun.
Oh my gosh. Do you find that because you're not currently practicing and you don't currently have like a massive email hell to get back to when you're away, do you find that has a certain mind shift in when you're away? Because when I'm away, no matter how much of a great time I've had and what a great trip I've had, there's always in the back of my mind the little guy that's like, you're going to come back to an email.
Pile of work, yeah.
Hundreds of emails
Right.
and maybe some fires. And
I'm in danger.
if you don't have that,
Right.
have you found you approach travel and trips and vacation differently?
Yeah, definitely. Like whenever I was traveling previously with a full-time practice, it was that was always in the back of my head, just like you said, of I'm gonna have emails to go through. There's probably people who are freaking out right now because you could have your vacation response on, and some people respect that of like, oh yes, of course you deserve a vacation as well. But there's of course some clients who just are like, no, my issue is very, very important. So there's that, and then there's just the pile of work, and that was one of the biggest issues to even go on vacation was, especially having your own, when you have your own practice, it's difficult because yes, you have the freedom to say I can take as many vacations as I want, but you're also in charge of everything. You don't really have, other colleagues to just like hand off a lot of things to in-house. You could have a colleague that can cover a court date and this and that, but that was kind of what I ran into was, it was hard to get away sometimes despite being my own boss because there was just so many people that relied on me. Yeah. And so, that was kind of what I would think about whenever I plan a vacation while I was on the vacation. When you come back from the vacation, the grind never stopped.
I try to section off like a year. People always like laugh at me when I'm like, my calendar gets booked sometimes a year in advance.
Oh, wow.
Like I have a pretrial in December 2026.
Yeah.
I have, discoveries booking into February and March now.
Right.
Like my calendar is now 8 months ahead. And people are like, how? And I'm like, because you have a file that requires a discovery or a deposition. It requires mediation, pretrial, motions.
Right.
Then you have all of the work that you have to do other than that. And you can only be in court so many days a week.
Right.
So what I try and do is block off random weeks in my calendar when I know we tend to like to go away. It doesn't always work out that way. People who work with the court system, it's very unpredictable.
Right. There's always an issue that would pop up, but it was never, like I said, a life or death. Like there's like on TV where there's court tomorrow for it.
Oh my God, yeah. Something happens and a week later they're in trial. I'm like, girl, counsel wouldn't even be assigned that fast.
My wife would always tell me to turn my lawyer brain off when I watch these legal shows because it would always be like, they would get a client that morning and then they're still in the same outfits and in court later that day before a judge. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works.
You know what? I'm going to swing for the fences too. Mike's going to court. I am?
The judge is always like, you ready for trial? Trial will be on Monday. Like, you mean in like 7 months?
Yeah,
maybe?
Monday 2027.
Yeah. Because that's whenever and actually the interesting thing in the States that I found to be different here is for criminal law, you only get a jury trial. You're only entitled to a jury trial here if the punishment is 5 years or more.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and whereas in the States, it's any criminal charge, you are entitled to a jury trial, which if you think about that, it clogs up the system way more. So that I think probably clears up the trial docket a little bit more.
Interesting.
Most of the trials are heard by a judge alone.
Interesting. And you know what's funny? We still have charges are dropped. Charges have been because of delay of trial, and it's like the constitutional right to speedy trial is a real thing, and I think that's an important thing.
Absolutely.
Because you think about certain other countries and other places in the world where it's like, well, we could hold you for 10 or 15 years and keep pushing your trial, and then you might as well have been a convicted criminal because that's how we treat you.
I actually just looked at that because I had the criminal law exam recently. So it's 18 months is presumed delay, too much delay in a provincial court. And then it's 30 months is presumed to be delay in a superior court.
You know what? Good.
Yeah.
Because if the court system, I know there's so many administrative things, and I know everyone in the court system works incredibly hard. Like I do not envy them.
Right.
Even when I'm in motions court, I look at the registrar, I look at the judge or the associate justice, and I'm like, you have a really hard job.
Right.
And you have a lot of work on your plate.
Right.
And I know that you're not, everyone's doing the best they can.
Right.
But if the criminal justice system cannot get you that speedy trial, the province or the country, the crown wants to charge you with something.
Right.
They better be ready to put their money where their mouth is.
Absolutely.
And if they're not, I wouldn't want to be held for that long.
Yeah.
Guilty or innocent.
Yeah, and it's the hanging over the accused, the witness memory fades, evidence issues, all that comes into it.
Their family, their ability to work. Like if you're awaiting a criminal trial.
It's important to be able to have the ability to have your day in court for sure.
Yes.
Because as much as it is bad to commit certain crimes, I think it's worse to be accused of certain crimes, especially if you're innocent.
Yep.
Like I said, there's certain charges that it's worse to be accused of that than murder. Sometimes there's child charges, child abuse charges, where it's like some people look at that much worse. But to be wrongfully accused of something like that, I think is even worse.
And it's hard because you know that the people doing the charging, the prosecuting, they're doing their job too. But like everything has a consequence. Like I joke cost of doing business, but like it is the cost of doing business, cost of living in society. We have this system. It's not perfect.
Right.
It's fallible because it's written by humans and it's enforced by humans. Right. To go on a bit of a tangent, there's a show called, Andrew, is it called Jury Duty? The show Jury. Did you see the show Jury Duty on? I think it might be Netflix or Disney Prime. It's like a reality show, but it's a scripted show.
Oh,
do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I know what you're talking about. Where it was a fake trial.
Yes.
But only a few people knew it was a fake trial.
The one guy doesn't know,
Oh,
and
that's right.
everyone else is an actor.
Yeah.
So he thinks he's in this like real jury trial, and it's
Right.
during COVID, so the courthouse was shut down, and
Right.
and so there were a lot of rules they could break,
Right.
which typically they wouldn't be able to like convince him otherwise.
Right.
If you haven't watched it, it is so funny.
Yeah.
Like especially as a lawyer, because so much of the stuff that happens in the courthouse is so like it's so ridiculous. It would never happen, but this guy is so earnest and innocent and naive and so sweet. And he really he's just looking out for everyone. And then there's the actor is in it, but he's like
I know who you're talking about. He was in X-Men.
Yes, yeah.
And,
the really blue eyes.
Sonic the Hedgehog, I think, was his last big.
Yes,
I know who you're
yeah.
talking about.
So he's a
Yeah.
jury member, and he comes
Yeah.
in, but he comes in as himself.
Yeah.
Which is really funny. It's kind of like James Vanderbeek playing James Vanderbeek.
Right,
in
right.
Don't Trust the Bee. James Marsden.
James Marsden, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. I put it on one day, not really knowing what it was, and Andrew was upstairs, and I started laughing so hard within 2 minutes. He's like, "What are you watching?" And then we just binged the whole thing in a few days.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. If you want just like a lighthearted, connected to law, but not in a way that's going to like stress you out or really turn on your
Right.
lawyer brain.
Right.
And I'm so sad that I can't watch it again for the first time.
Oh, that's
It's one of those.
Would you rewatch it though?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
I
So
would.
That's
I
where
would.
that's where you know it holds. It's really good if you want
Yes.
to watch it again.
Did like TV or movies or the media and its portrayal of lawyers, did that ever impact you wanting to become a lawyer?
When I was a younger person, I would watch Matlock, and
Oh yeah, okay.
I would always be fascinated at the way he was able to get to the bottom of things. But I even knew then when I was watching it that there's not going to be those moments of always being able to corner somebody on cross-examination and essentially solve the case and exonerate your client right then and there by cross-examination. Although I have had some great cross-examination moments in my time, but
Same.
not Matlock level.
Yeah. It's maybe 5% of what you expected you might have,
Yes,
right? You think
yes.
every deposition, every trial, every cross is going to have a gotcha moment,
Yes.
and a dramatic moment, and a moment where you whip out
Oh,
something, then you're like, you get the admission. It's so much more nuanced than
It
that.
is.
So much of the time.
Yeah, and it's usually pretty well known ahead of time of what the evidence is,
Yeah.
what you have to work with versus, pulling out some
Trial by ambush.
ambush.
Which writers
and-
love.
Oh yeah.
And
oh,
is
yeah.
not a thing that happens
and
in
the
court.
secret witness, surprise witness
Yeah.
coming through the door. Yeah, that doesn't happen.
The surprise witness. My
Yeah.
favorite is My Cousin Vinny when
Oh,
Marissa
love
Tomei-
that movie.
It's like one of my favorite
Oh,
movies
yeah.
ever, and he calls her as the expert witness to
Yeah.
like rebut the evidence of the prosecution.
Do you two know each other?
Yeah, she's my fiancée.
Well, that would certainly explain the hostility.
I have been a big fan of the Lincoln Lawyer series on Netflix.
Oh, is it a show now?
Oh yes. Oh my gosh, you should check it out. So there was the Matthew McConaughey movie, which is one of my favorite movies.
Oh, he's-
but there's also a Netflix series, which I think is on season 3 now. And he's a criminal defense attorney, so it has a lot of connection as well. But great show.
I do love legal dramas.
Yeah.
Like I love How to Get Away with Murder.
Oh yeah.
I love all of them, and I don't care that they're so unrealistic.
Yeah.
It's almost like
Entertainment.
it's entertainment, it's escapism,
Right.
and I don't necessarily mind the romanticism of our profession in that way, because sometimes you just need a little fantasy,
Right.
to be like, I'm a lawyer, they're a lawyer,
Yeah.
look at them kicking butt.
Yeah, exactly. But no,
Right?
growing up, to go back to what you were asking, like every time I saw depictions of attorneys, I remember being like, that seems like something that I would want to do. That seems
Yeah.
like a noble profession. You're helping people. Obviously, people think about it as success and
Yes.
all that kind of stuff. But I
Yeah.
think what I have come to realize is success means different things.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like it's one thing to have money in the bank. That's obviously great. But if you can go home at the end of the day and feel like you've accomplished something and actually truly helped people through the legal process, through your mental acuity, like I think that's something to be said.
So your definition of success has changed over time
I think
since
so.
law school?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I obviously I want to be able to pay my bills, have a comfortable life.
Money is great.
Of course.
Anyone who says money can't buy you happiness, there is a certain level of money,
Yeah.
and there's a certain level of financial security
Right.
that allows you to, have the best shot at being healthy,
Yep.
have a roof over your head,
Right.
pay your bills,
Right.
provide for your child,
Right.
take your vacations. So to say money isn't everything is true, but it is something.
Right.
I would say there's a certain amount where it's like maybe diminishing returns, or
Right.
no amount of riches will make you happy if you're not happy at a certain amount.
Right.
My diamond earring came off in the ocean and it's gone. And there's people that are dying.
But it is important
Yeah.
to make a good living.
Especially when you go to school for as long as we do.
Oh my God,
and
yeah. The
have
tuition.
6-figure debt.
Yeah.
It's you don't want to do that and still make as much as you do without having to have done all of that.
Absolutely.
It's also the ability to feel like I was putting my son to bed the other night, and he knows that I'm studying a lot, and he sees me studying a lot, and he literally asked, he was like, "Daddy, you read a lot. Is there any shortcut to be a lawyer?" And I said, I wish there was, buddy, but there's not. It's all gonna be worth it.
If he wants to become a lawyer, if he looked at you when he's a little bit older and says, "Daddy, I want to do what you do. I want to be a lawyer," what would you say to him?
I've been thinking about that. I don't know, because I don't want to discourage my son ever if he really wants to do something. And my wife's the same way, whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
We want to support him, but we'd rather him be a doctor or an engineer or something like that. He's so smart and he has so many different skills already that I can tell. But no, I don't know. I don't know if I would discourage him necessarily, but I would definitely tell him to really consider it. I mean, like even if it was a friend of mine that was considering law school, I would do the same
100%.
thing. Just it's not everything that is depicted in media, but it can still be a rewarding career for sure.
Yep.
I don't know. That's a good question, and I don't know what I'm gonna do when that day comes.
It's a very important profession.
Yep.
If you go into it for the right reasons and
Right.
you work hard, like we need, there's the funny, I'm a Simpsons fanatic. The Lionel has when he's like, imagine a world without lawyers and it's
Yeah.
everyone holding
Yes.
hands.
You imagine a world without lawyers?
In some ways, yes, but I just can't think of an alternative to having a legal system with
Right.
professionals who
Right.
understand the law, are held to a certain standard.
Right.
I just don't know of a different way to have a system of law. I think we need lawyers. Like
Absolutely.
I don't think that's debated. But the practice of law is not for everyone.
It's not. And
No.
as with anything, lawyers, there's tons of lawyer jokes and everything
Yeah.
for a reason. And
Yeah. We can
there's-
suck
Yeah, there's a lot of us that
sometimes.
suck.
Yeah.
But that's true for anything.
Oh my
there's
gosh, yeah.
there's good and bad people for any profession. That's kind of the problem. But like you said, it's necessary. It's
Mm-hmm.
necessary to have people who can help you. And there's people who love to make the lawyer jokes, but a lot of people hate lawyers until they need one.
You need one. Especially through this podcast, like I have been, I guess, reminded or learned just how many amazing lawyers are out there.
Yeah.
Because so much of my job, I work in litigation.
Yeah.
You've done criminal
Yeah.
defense. It's always a conflict.
Oh, yeah.
You want one thing, the other side wants usually a completely different thing.
Adversarial system.
It's an adversarial system, and you come in once the conflict has already started.
Right. With prosecution, I've always tried to have a good relationship with them, always tried to be reasonable with them, because if they saw me being reasonable with them and I was able to tell them the cases where, hey, I know you got me on this one, the evidence, you got me on this one, so let's try to work out something that's fair for my client.
Yeah.
Then they also knew that when I came to them and said, hey, we're not backing down on this one. You're not on the right side on this one. Then they knew that they had to take a deeper look
Yes.
into the facts.
Yeah.
But it's because I earned that trust with them
And that
and I wasn't a jerk. Yeah, and that reputation with them, and I wasn't a jerk to them. I don't think you have to be a jerk in practicing law. I don't.
You do not.
Yeah.
If you're, what do they say? If the law's not on your side, argue the facts.
Yes.
The facts aren't on your side, argue the
the
law.
law, yeah.
If neither are, pound the table
Pound
and
the table.
scream.
Yeah.
Right? And so when someone starts pounding the table and screaming and taking personal shots at me, I'm like, they know they've got nothing.
That's when you know. Yeah, I'll never forget. Early on, when I started practicing, it was a family law case, and the opposing counsel. I just always noticed that it was hilarious because she was so nice to me until her client was in earshot. I just remember at first it was just like, what's happening? And then I put it together. Oh, you want to be a bulldog in front of your client. And so I played along with that. But it was just always funny every time we would meet at court discussing the case. And she'd be smiling and laughing. But then once her client kind of walked around the corner, she would be so mean to me and just like throwing her finger in my face. And I would, by that point, I was just like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, da da da.
You're like, oh, it's showtime.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then and then we would go into one of the lawyer workrooms in the courthouse and just, oh, hey, so anyway, so where'd you go to law school? it was hilarious, but
I don't have the energy to do the personality switch.
Yeah, no, me
I'm just
either.
like, you get what you get with me.
I'm who I am.
Right.
This is who I am practicing law. This is just, and I honestly think that you do your best when you are yourself.
100%.
Like with whatever you're doing. I remember my very first jury trial ever, the judge told me afterwards, I got it not guilty, and the judge talked to the judge in chambers afterwards, and he was saying, I actually don't think the law was on your side on this one, but I think the jury really liked you. And I was like, I'll take it, and I think my client will too.
Thank you so much.
Like, I think a lot of lawyers forget that like the jury is not just looking at, I mean, obviously they have to look at the facts and the evidence and the testimony and all that kind of stuff. But if your lawyer's a jerk,
they're looking at likability of the counsel.
Yeah, that's
and
a
who
factor.
They feel they can trust.
Exactly.
People in general are smart.
Yes.
And when they are sitting in that room, they take it seriously.
They do.
And they are observing things that we might not even notice.
Right.
And I think one of the things about being generally, like, so holding your ground, but still being generally likable as counsel, is you want the other side to want to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
To want to approach you, to want to give you a call.
Yeah.
There are lawyers who I love talking to, and I'm just like, oh, I've got such and such on a case. I'll give them a call.
Right. Because the facts are the facts.
Yeah.
Even with prosecutors that I worked with a lot and I liked them, they liked working with me. There was ones where they had to maintain their position, and I understood that.
Yes.
And generally those are the ones that go to trial. It's usually where it's not really clear on either side.
Exactly.
If the evidence of guilt was overwhelming, we're not going to trial unless there's some sort of other issue there. Sometimes in Texas, immigration issues prevalent.
Right.
If it was super, super obvious that they were not guilty, it would probably get dismissed.
Yeah.
It's the ones that are kind of in the middle where it's arguable that we argue, that we go to trial on.
Exactly. And it could go either way.
Yeah, but I always try to handle it, and it sounds like you do as well, just to be amicable, and it doesn't mean being a pushover.
No. And I think there is a shift, but I think a lot of it is the old guard.
Right.
And I think a lot of my stress early on in my career was feeling as though I had to emulate the older, grumpy people that I saw in the legal career. Yeah. And that translated into my personal life.
Oh, really?
Like, I was told, when you worked there, you were not very nice. Like, you were always swearing, you were always mean, you were always stressed out. I still get stressed from my job, but I think I work with a lot of really nice people that are so smart.
Right.
Same with my last firm. Like, when I was at my prior firm and even the company before that, the people around me were smart, but they were nice.
Yeah.
And you could see why they were good at their jobs. Right. But it didn't mean that they walked around being a jerk or being scary. But I feel like, especially in my early career, I thought that, like, I had to be a jerk and I had to be lawyer me all the time.
Right.
And that sucked. I was so unhappy.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. Yeah.
Was there ever a time where you're like, maybe I won't go back into the law?
So there was a time where I was looking at other things that might be of interest to me, and I looked at potentially policy positions or governmental roles, things, tried to be somewhat lateral of looking into things that could utilize my background and experience and skill set. But then I remember talking to a friend of mine, and she said that her grandfather always told her that, like, if you find something that you love, you can't be anything else. Something along those lines. And it resonated with me. Obviously, law comes with its stressors. Yeah. But I think I do always want to be a lawyer, maybe try out a new practice area. And then there's always room for other things in your life as well. So it doesn't have to be your entire life, but I think if you want something to fill that need to help people make income and all that kind of stuff, and like feel proud of yourself, have other people, my son be proud of me when he grows up. I think I do definitely want to get back into the law. And I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to do. Like there's other hobbies and things like that. Like I actually started getting into stand-up.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I've done a couple open mics.
Good for you.
Yeah, so it's fun. But right now, obviously, I'm trying to focus on
Fair.
passing these exams.
Yeah.
But it is something that I think I'm always going to continue doing, and maybe try to build my way up there. I've also been writing a lot. I'm putting together a book of dad jokes. They're a little bit more involved in like your quick one-liner kind of thing. It's things that I've noticed about him, and then things that I think other parents of toddlers can resonate with. So
I love hearing what lawyers do in their spare time and things that they're working towards that have nothing to do with their career.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that to me is so important for personal development and personal growth. And like, I love that. It's so funny that you say that it's stand-up comedy is different from being a trial lawyer. But I feel like just being comfortable in front of people, I feel like that is that definitely puts you at an advantage to start off with, maybe.
So I think I don't have any fear of public speaking, which obviously I know is like one of the number one fears of people.
Yeah.
I have no fear of public speaking. I can speak to 1,000 people.
Yeah.
But trying to make them laugh is different than just talking to them.
You.
Me?
You a comic? I don't know you.
Oh, yeah, I'm known all over this town.
What advice would you give to lawyers who kind of feel stuck and burned out, but are like afraid to make a change for some of the reasons we've talked about?
The best things that have happened in my life came from being courageous and taking action. If you don't take action, then things are always going to stay the same. And if you're happy with the way things are, then great.
Yeah.
But if you're not and you want things to be better, then the only way for that to happen is to take that first step. So that's what I would say for anybody who is hesitating to take whatever step is necessary to move forward with whatever it is that they're considering.
I think so often we let fear kind of dictate what we do or don't do.
Yes.
And the thing I tell myself is when I'm starting anything new, like for example, when I started this podcast, right? Or I'm training for a marathon, and it's like the time's going to pass anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
How are you going to use it?
Yeah.
Because in a year, 5 years, 10 years, you're going to be where you are.
Right.
And would you wish you've started?
Right.
Would you wish you've tried something? Would you wish you have like stood up for yourself, asked for that raise, attempted a career pivot, attempted a move? Or are you going to look back and be like, I wish I would have done that?
Yeah. When I was younger, the quote I made up, and whenever I tell people that, they're like, you didn't make that up. And I'm like, I did. Live your life with no fears, no what ifs, and no regrets. And I'm like, am I just an old soul? Because I thought of that in high school. But like, if you look back on your life and you're just, like you said, you're just like, I should have done this, I should have done that. I feel like if you at least attempted things and made the effort, maybe it may not have worked out.
Yeah.
But you at least can say you tried.
And maybe you learned something about yourself.
Always learning something. I mean, I feel like you can always learn something, whether it turned out well or not. You can always learn from it.
Absolutely. I always like to ask a very like random, unrelated question at the very end. And it's usually just like funny and lighthearted to kind of wrap up. So I know that you've done some traveling, but if you could teleport anywhere right now for a day in the world, where would it be and why?
The beach in Bermuda was very, very fun. We were able to rent a little boat, which I almost crashed into a yacht.
Yo, Brennan, break him up a little.
Who's steering the boat?
Dad, please shut up. Please shut up!
Which was...
I mean, the whales have been doing it. Why can't you?
Yeah.
This frightening video shows a pod of orcas attacking a tourist sailboat off Portugal.
I drove for some reason. I was the one chosen to drive this boat. And we were able to go to this little island. Tranquility, the just escape from everything. It was beautiful water, blue water. I feel like that would be where I would go. I guess that's my happy place now.
Love
now
it.
that the island life is just, just when you're there, you just have that feeling of like no worries,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries either way. And really no worries either way. Not a secret third way.
Right.
I do in my everyday life.
Yeah. That's my like peace, like calming answer. But then to be quite honest with you, my other answer, if I could be anywhere, is I do miss the courtroom.
Okay. Wow.
You know? Like,
cool.
I know that's probably like weird to say of like
no, it's not.
Being in the courtroom. I do miss it. I do miss that feeling of like I'm accomplishing something great for my client and something that not everyone can do, and you know, being able to utilize my skill set.
Then you know you're in the right profession.
Yeah.
If I literally asked you if you could go anywhere in the world right now, your first answer is a beautiful beach in Bermuda, but your second one is the courtroom.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're in the right spot,
right.
I
think it took time away to get that perspective. I still have a lot of advocacy in me to dole out. Yeah. And so I feel like the time away has given me that new, fresh look on things.
Well, this has been fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Sim. And I'm so thankful for your time.
Absolutely.
And I'm so grateful to Brandy for connecting us.
Absolutely.
Thanks, girl. Love you.
Thanks, B.
That was Sim, and I'm so grateful to him for sharing his story. It's a great reminder that stepping away from the law can really open up new perspectives, and I think make us stronger and better when we return. I know a lot of lawyers listening will connect with that, and so thank you so much for being here and for your time and energy. Sim also gets the honor of being our first male attorney guest.
Another successful interaction with a man.
Which is very exciting. This is not just a podcast where I talk to women, although that's been most of it since I started. So thanks to Sim for trusting me enough to be on the podcast. If this episode resonated with you, or there's a lawyer or a law student in your life that you think might benefit from listening to this, please go ahead and share it with them and give it a like. Even if the lawyers in your life look like on the surface they're doing fine, you never know what they might be struggling with. And I think that we touch on a lot of things that people might be shy to talk about with others, and that's the purpose of this. So share it with someone you think might benefit from it.
That was fun.
Yeah, and be sure to subscribe and like and comment, and find us on Instagram and TikTok.
How do you do, fellow kids?
All right, until next time, bye.